Tomorrow is supposed to be getting real cold, and I would think that the grass is actually going to die. And so, I got these animals on grain right now, and I just been giving them as much as they want to eat. And so, this grain that I'm buying, I'm actually buying it by the barrel, and so I'm having to pay a $30 or excuse me, a 30% premium on this grain. I'm having to pay about 30% more for it. But I'm gonna go get my check today, and then tomorrow, because today is President's Day, the grain mill is closed, and so tomorrow I will go ahead and I will order the grain. And when I take a look at how much these animals are eating, in terms of a wholesale grain, they're only eating about $35 worth of grain a day. I would say it's about $35 worth of grain a day. If I give them more, they won't eat it. So I would say that they're eating about 2/3 of their diet in grass. And another good indicator of how much grass they're eating is by looking at their poop, right? And so, like, when I take a look at their poop, it's definitely green and it's kind of clumped up. And they're definitely eating grass. And when I visibly look at the animals, I can actually tell that these animals have grass belly. Like, I can actually tell. And I've talked about this: when the animals eat grass, that grass, it will actually make their belly swell. It will actually make their stomach swell. And so I can tell that these animals are eating grass. And another way that I can, there are many ways that I can do this, right? I can check their manure. If their manure is green, then I know that they're eating grass. Even when I give them the grain, they won't eat it. Well, then they're not hungry, and they're not hungry because they're eating grass. And I would actually anticipate that by somewhere around, March, April, May, June, around those March, April, May, June, those 4 months, March, April, May, June, those 4 months, I will actually not be feeding any total mixed ration. I will actually just be supplementing the grass with a little bit of distiller grains. And I was actually taking a look at my numbers yesterday, and I would actually anticipate that my results are actually better than the average right now, and my costs are very low. So when I take a look at my whole situation, I've only fertilized my grass about 2 times. I think I fertilized my grass 2 times in the last 5 months. I fertilized my grass 2 times. 4 months, I fertilized my grass 2 times. And I would anticipate that over the next 4 months, I don't have to put any phosphorus or potassium on my field at all. I'm only going to be putting straight urea on my field. There's plenty of phosphorus and plenty of potassium on my field. I fertilized my field with phosphorus and potassium 2 times already. And I would anticipate that there's plenty of phosphorus and potassium on my field. So I'll probably just be putting straight urea on my field for about the next 4 months. And if I'm going to utilize a straight urea, maybe I'll put on about 50 pounds an acre. Well, long story short, I'll only be spending about $275 a month to grow my grass. So my grass will cost about $275 a month. And I've said this a lot, I say this a lot, right? Spring is the time where I make the most amount of money. The amount of money that I make in spring, it's legitimately vertical. I don't. And here's another way to put it, and this is a very honest way to look at it. Starting by about March, I would actually anticipate that I only put straight urea on my field. I'll be putting straight urea on my field for about 4 months. And maybe I put about 50 pounds of urea per acre, about 3 times out of the 4 months. And for me to do that, for me to put 30 pounds of urea, 50 pounds of urea per acre, right, on a 10-acre field, 1 tonnage, urea is by weight 46% nitrogen, right? Urea is 46% nitrogen. So if I have urea and it's 46% nitrogen and I have 1,000 pounds of it, that gives me 460 pounds of nitrogen, right? And if I put 460 pounds of nitrogen over 10 acres, how many pounds of nitrogen have I put on per acre? 46 pounds, right? And I'm going to put somewhere around 46 pounds of nitrogen per acre, maybe 2 or 3 months out of the next 4 months, and that nitrogen will be enough nitrogen for me to effectively grow my grass until it gets so hot that the grass actually dies. And 1 tonnage of urea is a what? It's a global commodity, right? You can go on the stock market right now, go on the commodity market right now, and look up the price of urea, and it will tell you the price of urea. If you want to know what the cost of urea is in your local area, call a fertilizer yard, call your local fertilizer yard and ask them. call them and ask them, how much are you charging per tonnage of urea? In my local area, urea costs about $550 a ton. So if I need half a tonnage of urea 3 times to grow my grass out of the, over the next 4 months, how much urea do I need? I need 1.5 tons. How much does 1.5 tons cost? About $800. So $800 divided by 4 is how much? It's about $200. All right, it's going to cost me about $200 a month to grow my grass. And over the next 4 months, I'm actually going to have a substantial amount of grass. Even right now, my animals are already eating about 2/3 of their diet in grass. They're already eating about 2/3 of their diet, a half to 2/3. Even if I give them the grain, they won't eat anymore. And when I visibly look at the animals, I can actually tell that their guts are swelling. That's called grass belly. Right, and when I look at their manure is definitely 100% green. All right, and it's kind of clumping up a little bit, like they're eating a lot of forage material. All right, even when I give them the grain, they won't eat anymore. There are many ways for me to, see what's going on, right? So my business will cost me, and I would actually anticipate that over the next 4 months, maybe it only costs me about $500 a month, even with the grain and everything. And maybe it doesn't even cost me $1,000 a month, and my profits will be sky high. I will actually be making more money. I make the most money in the spring, and it costs me the least. All right, I don't, it just is what it is, okay? And I've actually been thinking about, what am I going to do? I would anticipate that over the next 3 or 4 months, I'm ready to go. Over the next 3 or 4 months, I'll effectively have everything ready for me to just go and to expand my business, right? I would say it's going to take about 3 or 4 months. And I was taking a look at everything, and I'm actually going to... I've actually decided that I'm actually going to go for I'm going to go for $1 million this year. I'm going to go for $1 million. I'm not going to go for 250, 350. I'm going to go for $1 million. And I've decided that if at the end of the day, if it comes down to it, I will actually end up buying 400-pound animals. I would be willing to do it. And I would be willing to buy straight number 1. All right, I would be willing to buy straight number 1 400-pound animals. If it came down to it, I would be willing to do it. If I cannot buy calves fast enough or whatever it may be, I would be willing to buy straight number 1 400-pound animals. I would be willing to do it. I'll raise them to 800 and then I'll liquidate. But I'm actually going to go for $1 million. I'm not going to go for 250. I'm not going to go for 350. I'm actually going to go for $1 million. I believe that I can end the year at somewhere around $1 million. That's how much money I will make over the year. I'm actually going to go for it. And if it comes down to it, I will actually start buying straight number 1, strings of straight number 1 type cattle, and I will buy them at 400 pounds, and I will raise them to 800. But that's legitimately, in all honesty, with the utmost sincerity and just complete honesty, with the most sincere intentions that I can possibly have, I would anticipate that over the next 4 months, my results are actually better. I actually put on more than 75 pounds per animal per month. I actually put on more weight on these animals per month, and so my profits are going to be higher, and my expenses are going to be lower. My expenses are going to be drastically lower, and my profits are going to be drastically higher. I would anticipate. How much do I think it's going to cost me to fertilize my grass over the next 4 months? Well, I'll probably need about 1.5 tons of urea. If I have 1.5 tons of urea, and I have a 10-acre field, then I'm putting 150 pounds of urea per acre over the next 4 months. I would say that I've put on about 100 pounds of urea, not 100 pounds of urea, 100 pounds of nitrogen on my field over the last 4 months. And if I put on 150 pounds over the next 3 months, that's effectively 250 pounds over the 7-month period, right? And I've always said that, that is roughly a rough ballpark idea. Right, I talk about this all the time. How much nitrogen would I suggest that you put on your field per, et cetera, right? 250 pounds, right? I talk about this all the time. And that's what I would anticipate. I have to put about 1.5 tons of urea on my field over the next 4 months. I fertilized my field 2 times over the last 3-4 months. I fertilized my field maybe 2 times, and I've maybe put on about 100 pounds of nitrogen, maybe 120. And over the next 4 months, I would anticipate that I have to put on about another 120, 100, and 150. Am I putting on straight nitrogen on my field? No, I'm not. I've already fertilized my field with phosphorus and potassium 2 times. I've already put phosphorus and potassium on my field 2 times. And if I'm going to do this, how much is it going to cost me? It'll probably end up costing me about $200 a month. But for that $200 a month, I will legitimately grow enough grass to feed all 35 of my animals like 80% of their diet. That's, you know, it will legitimately cost me like $200 a month to feed all of these animals like 75% of their diet. All right, and you know, and when I do that, my expenses are gonna tank, and my profits are going to skyrocket. I would actually anticipate that I am putting on more than 75 pounds a month per animal as of right now. I would say that I probably am. I'm probably doing more than 75 pounds a month per animal. I'm probably closer to 90. And another way to look at it is that, you know, I've been saying that this size animal, maybe that size animal over there, that red one, and I've been saying that red one, that white one, and then I got you know, the black white face, and then you know, I got these 3 animals ready to go. You know, I would anticipate that over the next 2 weeks, these animals actually put on close to 50 pounds. I would anticipate, right? They're actually going to be putting on closer to 3.25 pounds a day, right? You know, and I've always said that my long-term average in terms of like, if I include everything, right? Sometimes, you know, sometimes in the summer, you know, when the summer rolled, like last year, you know, I bought hay, and hay was dirt cheap. I mean, hay was so cheap that, I mean, I legitimately bought an 8-month supply of hay for $4,000. I legitimately bought enough hay to last my entire farm for 8 months, and it cost me $4,000 last year. Legitimately, that was the cost, and I just bought 2 loads of distiller grains on top of that, and that amount of feed legitimately lasted me 8 months. Hay was dirt cheap last year. It was borderline free. Not free. I've already said that even when it's cheap, it still costs me substantially more to buy the hay than it does for me to grow it. And if you want to take a look at it in terms of a reality sense, I purchased 8 months of hay and it cost me $4,000. But if I'm gonna grow 4 months of grass, it will cost me $800. Like, you know, it legitimately cost me 3 times as much to buy it, 4 or 5 times as much to buy it. Even when it's cheap, it still costs more to buy it, substantially more. And so, you know, and this is a very, very realistic time to look at it. I would anticipate that my field costs about $200 a month to grow. If I'm going to grow my entire field of grass, it will cost about $200 a month. How did I get that number? I need about 1.5 tons of urea. I've already put plenty of phosphorus and plenty of potassium on my field. There's no reason for me to put any more phosphorus and potassium on my field. By about July, I'll actually be plowing my field up, and when I plow my field up, I can add more phosphorus and potassium then if I feel like it. All right, and so I need about, I would anticipate that I need about 150 units of fertilizer of nitrogen, you know, over the next 4 months. And I have a 10-acre field. That's 1,500 pounds. I need 1,500 pounds of nitrogen. If I'm going to purchase 1,500 pounds of nitrogen using straight urea, how much is that going to cost me? I'm going to need to purchase 1.5 tons of urea, 3,000 pounds of urea, divide that by half. Urea is effectively half nitrogen. That's 1,500 pounds. So that is what I would anticipate that it costs me. It's going to cost me about $800 to run my business for the next 4 months. Maybe I supplement a little bit of the, maybe I give them 25% of their diet, either in a total mixed ration or a distiller grains, depending on what stage of development my grass is in. Even then, I mean, my business, maybe it costs me $500 a month. And for that $500 a month, my results will actually be better. I will actually probably be putting on closer to 3 to 3.25 pounds a day per animal than 75 pounds a month. I will actually probably do better. My results will be better, and my expenses will be borderline very, very, very low. All right, and so and I would actually anticipate that within the next I've decided that I really want to really get myself away from thinking about making 250, 350 a year. I'm gonna start thinking about making $1 million this year. I think I can make $1 million. And if I'm gonna make $1 million, I may just need to straight, get into going into the stocker cattle business, not the stocker calf business, but getting into the backgrounding in the stocker cattle business. I would be willing, because of everything going on, I would be willing to purchase number one type cattle, a straight string of number one type cattle, and purchase them at 400 pounds at commodity prices. I would be willing to do it. If it comes down to it, I would do it. I would purchase that 400-pound animal. I would take him to 800 pounds and I would liquidate. All right, I would be willing to do it. If I'm granted that I'm still going to continue to run the stocker calf business, right? Stocker calves is effectively what I originally got started in. Right, this is where this is how I made my money. The cattle business makes me effectively all of my money. And when it comes to money, I make enough money. I don't even worry about money anymore. Money does not mean, hardly anything to me, other than, money is borderline completely negligible to me. I would actually say it's actually completely negligible, other than, do I keep track of my finances? Absolutely. I keep track of my finances. I don't just go and just spend money on things, right? I budget very carefully. And I was actually thinking about this, but I actually think that budgeting is more important than investing. If you budget properly, you're probably better off than investing. You really want to do both, but I would suggest getting into budgeting first. You really got to take a look at your numbers. Sit there and take a look at your numbers, see what things are costing you, see how much income you have, and then just develop an understanding of that. I've always said that money, developing an idea of how to just take a look at money is very important. It's very important. It's one of the most practical things that you can learn how to do in terms of financials. Just taking a look at the numbers. Oh, I make this much every month and I spend this much every month. This is how much it's going to cost me. Can I afford that right now? And then it's like, and then when you get into investing, it's like, oh, here is a good asset. If I purchase this asset, I have a reasonable idea of why it will appreciate. And if I purchase this asset, I believe that it will be valuable for effectively forever. It's equitable on a massive scale, etc., right? I mean, you're probably better off budgeting before you are investing, but in reality, you really want to do both. But that's the reality of my situation, and I've actually decided I'm not going to sit on cash. I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to invest it all. I'm going to stop taking leverage, but I am going to invest all of my money. I don't exactly know how I'm going to do it yet, but I'm going to do it. All right, even if I have to purchase straight strings of number one type 400-pound cattle, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to go ahead and do it, because here's the thing, and I'm just going to be completely honest. I would say that, right now, maybe I have whatever, right? Like 35 grand. All right. I would say that, if it came down to it, I got 35 grand. I don't need any more cash. All right. If I have $35,000 in the bank account, I don't need any more cash. I don't. What am I going to buy? If my air conditioner blows up, I can fix it. If my car blows up, I can fix it. It doesn't matter. All right, why would I hold on to more? I don't want to hold on to more cash. I would estimate that I have about a 25, maybe. Let's just lowball it and say 25. I have about 25 grand. I don't need any more cash. Oh my God, I had $25,000 cash and now I have $100,000 cash. Now I have $75,000 cash. It's not going to do anything. I don't want to hold on to more cash. There's no reason for me to do it. So I'm going to figure it out, and I'm going to reinvest all of my earnings, but I'm going to stop taking leverage. But I am going to reinvest all of my earnings. All right, I was taking a look at my financials, and it's just so dumb. Why would I hold on to more cash? What am I gonna do with more cash? If I legitimately felt like I wanted more cash, I could just go and get it. It's like, why would I hold on to more cash? Why would I intentionally hold on to more cash? There is no reason to do that. What a moronic thing to do. I would rather have a good business and more cattle than I would more cash. And I've been talking about this a lot, right? You know, it's like when I talk about it, maybe it just, you know, you begin to realize it's like, oh God, that does sound like moronic, right? It does sound completely idiotic. Why would I hold on to more cash? I would rather hold on to more cattle and whatever, buy more land, and you know, and run my business better. I would rather have those things than the cash. All right, I would say that I probably have about 25,000 cash right now, and I don't need any more cash. More cash is not going to do anything. All right, and you can actually see that the animals are actually walking away from the feed, and you know, and the animals still have you know, feed left in the bunks. The animals still have feed in the bunks, and the pigeons are going crazy for it, and the animals still have feed in the bunks, and the animals are already starting to walk away from the feed. And you know, I would say that right now, you know, the animals are probably eating about 60 to 70% of their diet in grass. They're eating about a 50 to 70%. And even if I give them the food, they don't eat it. Yeah, you see, I mean, even if I give it to them, they won't eat it. They leave some left. And so, you know, and I would anticipate that right now, but, you know, but also tomorrow, it's going to get very cold and the grass is probably going to die. And so, you know, I'll probably have to put these animals on a total mixed ration for about 2 weeks until the grass grows back. But I'm not worried about it. I mean, you know, like when I take a look at my expenses right now, I would say that my expenses are, you know, for this month, my expenses are going to be about $1,500, and then for next month, my expenses are probably going to be closer to about you know, 1,750, something like that. My expenses are going to tank, and my profits are actually going to go higher. All right, in the spring, I make the most money. And you know, but I'm not gonna hold on to any more. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna hold on to cash. I already have like 25, 35 grand. There's no reason for me to hold on to more cash. What am I going to do with more cash? It's not going to do anything. What am I going to do? Look at it. It's not going to do anything. I would rather run my business better. I would rather run a bigger business. I would rather have more cattle. I would, there are things that I would, you know, that are better than, much better idea than holding on to cash. What am I going to do with more cash? It's not going to do anything. All right, you know, and if I start stockpiling cash, I mean, my cash, you know, I would anticipate that I have over 100 grand within the next 4 months. All right, what am I going to do with $100,000 cash? I would rather have more cattle. I would rather have a better field of grass. I would rather be running a better business. You know, I would rather have more land. All right, what am I going to do with $100,000 cash? It's not going to do anything. What am I going to do? Sit there and look at it? Oh my God, now that I have cash, I feel good about it. Well, you know, what a moronic thing to do, right? I mean, you know, how, you know, that's, you know, maybe when I talk about it, you'll go, oh my God, you know, that is actually very idiotic. Right? Holding on to cash is like one of these, it's like one of the most moronic. I mean, you know, granted that, you know, I'm dead broke, right? I mean, like in my situation, I have about, maybe I have $25,000, $35,000. I don't need any more money. All right, what if my air conditioner blows up? I'll just fix it. If my car needs to be fixed, I'll just fix it. All right, you know, it doesn't matter. All right, there is legitimately zero reason for me to be holding on to more cash. It's not going to do anything. All right, and you know, but I'm not going to do it. You know, and I sat there and I really looked at it, and I can't bring myself to do it. I'm not going to hold on to more cash. It's just so dumb, right? I mean, you know. Holding on to cash is just, you know, holding on to more cash is just such a bad idea. I mean, even if I end up in a situation where I have to buy straight number one type commodity animals at commodity prices at 400 pounds, I would still rather do that than hold on to $50,000. Okay, I'm just gonna be completely honest about it. Even if I have to purchase animals at 400 pounds. Even if I have to do that, even if I have to purchase them at 400 pounds and I purchase them straight number one type commodity animals and I pay commodity prices, I would rather do that than hold on to 50 grand. Another 50 grand. I already, you know, but am I going to take my cash reserves to zero? No, I'm not. You know, I would say that my cash reserves are at about 25, 35 grand. I don't need any more cash. If my car blows up, I'll just fix it. If my air conditioner blows up, I'll just fix it. All right, it's not going to do anything. All right, why would there is no reason for me to have more cash. I already, and I'm not saying that you should have zero cash. Having zero cash is not good. If you're legitimately sitting there scraping out the bottom every single month, that's not good. You need to take a look at that situation and probably get ahead of that situation and fix it. If you're legitimately in a situation where you are living hand to mouth every single month, you are legitimately scraping out the bottom of your barrel every single month, that is not good. Financially, that is not good. Something has gone horribly wrong. All right, I don't know what it is, but I mean, you're gonna have to figure it out for yourself. I don't save people, and you're not paying me to do anything. Nobody's paying me to do anything. I already make plenty of money. I don't need any more money. All right, I make plenty of money. I already have one of my biggest problems with money is that I legitimately make so much that I can't do anything with it. If you take a look at my situation right now, my income is going to be like around $11,000-$12,000 a month just off of this cattle field, and that is just straight cash. I'm not liquidating all of my animals to make this money. I'm liquidating a few animals off the top of my herd, the biggest animals that I have. I will make $11,000-$12,000 cash, and it won't even cost me $1,000 a month. I don't need any more cash. I already have plenty of money. And this is, and at the end of the day, even if I lost everything today, it wouldn't matter. I would just redo everything in 30 seconds. Nobody cares about an opinion. I could redo all of this in 30 seconds. It does not matter to me. It doesn't. I don't know how else to put that. It just doesn't. Even if I lost all of this today, I could redo it all in 3 seconds. It doesn't matter. All right, and how many people do you know that it's like, I legitimately make, I would actually anticipate that my monthly income is actually closer to $25,000 a month than it is 10 or 12. I would actually anticipate that that is true, because I'm not liquidating all of my animals. I'm only liquidating a few animals, the biggest animals off the top of my herd, right? And I'm still bringing home, 11, 12,000. Right, I mean, I would actually anticipate that and this was a very honest way to look at it, is at the end of the year, if I did, let's just say I decided that I'm going to be an idiot. I don't even think about the business anymore. I don't even think about the cattle anymore. I don't even think about the grass anymore. The only thing I could possibly think about, like a complete moron, is holding on to more cash. So I liquidate everything. I've decided that I don't even want to think about running my business anymore. I don't even want to think about the cattle anymore. All I want to think about is, oh my God, how much cash can I have? Well, then how much cash would I have at the end of the year? Probably about 250, 350,000. I would actually anticipate that if I were to do this, like be a complete moron about it and just hold on to cash, which, if I would, within the next 4 months, I would probably have somewhere between 75 and 100,000. All right, that's what I would reasonably anticipate. All right, but maybe when I talk about it in whatever, right? Maybe it becomes more obvious, and it's like, oh God, that is actually like one of these stupidest things that you could possibly do. Why would I say, I would say that I probably have around 35,000 cash right now, excess. That's how much cash I'm sitting on right now. I don't need any more cash. If my air conditioner blows up, I'll just fix it. If my roof gets damaged, I'll just fix it. If my car gets damaged, I'll just fix it. Is there really a benefit to having $75,000 cash instead of $25,000 cash? No, there is not. There is not. Legitimately zero benefit. All right, maybe, and when I talk about it, you'll go, now this makes sense, right? And what do I suggest you do with money? Purchase good assets. Okay, purchase good assets and then hold on to them forever. That's what I do. All right, and I've always talked about, in terms of investing, you don't have to become a cattleman to do extremely well for yourself. I actually don't know anybody else I actually don't even know anybody doing 10%. All right, I legitimately don't know anybody even doing 10%. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks. Opinions don't get you paid. Money talks. I talk about my money all the time. Why not? I just do it. right? I don't, whatever. I'm just honest about it. I just talk about my money. Right, here is my business plan. I just give you my business plan. I am effectively going to liquidate a certain amount of animals every month from now until effectively infinity. If anything, the number of animals that I liquidate is actually going to trickle upwards. All right, here is how I, appraise the value of a herd. Here is my business plan. I legitimately talk about money. I just talk about it, right? I mean, why not? At the end of the day, I do very well for myself. All right, I do very well for myself. I would, and if you actually take a look at it in terms of a numerical percentage, I and I talk about the wealth disparity, right? Effectively everybody in the entire country, there are legitimately times when I take a look at a city of people, there will be like 250 people in that city. I will take a look at that city. I will take a look at the median income data. And I will actually generate more money by myself in a year than that entire city will. The entire city. And, I talk about money in various aspects, right? Like me, when I run cattle, at $10,000 an acre, land is free. Right. I mean, there are many ways that I talk about. I talk about money. I give various ideas. Right. At $10,000 an acre, land is free for me. On a 10.5 acre field, I already tell you exactly how much money I make. I even show it to you. Right. I just show it. Why not? I just talk about it. Why not? I just talk about money. I just do it. Why not? Right. I don't. Be the change that you want to see in the world. Why not? Why not just talk about money? Right? I mean, why not? I mean, it's something that, chances are, and here's the thing. If you're poor, if you legitimately turn into a poor person, and I've talked about this, by the time you've legitimately become poor, which is a majority of everybody. I don't know why it happened, but it did. It's probably a death sentence. You're probably stuck like that forever. You are probably never going to do better for yourself forever. You are effectively going to die poor. Once it's happened, it's probably permanent. And this is also why, I put a very, very, very big emphasis on you don't want to become a poor person to begin with. But I mean, for most people, it's already too late. I guarantee it. I would actually bet if you put me in front of somebody, whatever, if you took, let's just say I went to a random Walmart, I went to a random Costco, and I just collected everybody out of that Costco, I just collected everybody out of that Walmart, and I had an honest to God conversation with every single one of these individuals, every single last one of them. How many of these people do you think, the honest to God conversation, they cannot lie under any circumstance, they have to be honest about it. How many of these people would legitimately just be like, I don't even know how much money I make a lot. I legitimately have zero money problems. I don't even worry about money. How many people would do that? Right, and I've already said that you don't need to make a certain amount of money to achieve this. You just, and I've talked about the guy working in the parking lot, right? And and there's a the man working in the parking lot who makes $20,000 a year, and they put him on an interview in 2010, and he had a home that was paid for. He makes $20,000 a year his entire life. His entire house is paid for. He sent all 3 of his children to private school, and he has $500,000 cash in the bank. Right, and how did that happen? Because he invested his money, and as of right now, he's probably a multi-millionaire if he's still alive. He's probably a millionaire, if not a multi-millionaire, and he makes $20,000 a year, right? And if you spoke to this individual, what does he talk about? Purchasing assets. He talks about dividends. He talks about good investments. He's not sitting there going, "Oh my God, I want to hold on to my $20,000 a year for forever," right? And it's a very realistic case of somebody who is wealthy, and he makes and it's like he has legitimately achieved the same mindset. He makes $20,000 a year, but he has, he sent all 3 of his kids to private school. He's paid for his entire house, and he has $500,000 in the bank account. All right, it's a very realistic case. I mean, and if you and when he does the interview and he speaks about money, what does he talk about? Accumulating good assets. He talks about dividends. He talks about good investments, etc., etc. He doesn't sit there and go, "Oh my God, my life's a journey. My life is whatever." Right? I fell out of heaven to seven, and my life's a journey. Right? Oh my God, everything's gonna work out for me in a spectacular fashion. He doesn't do these things. I mean, just watch, and I'll actually go find the interview, and I will link it in the description, and you can see what I mean. You don't need a set amount of money to be rich. You don't need a set amount of money to be wealthy. You just effectively need to achieve you just need to achieve it. You don't need a massive amount of money, and in all honesty, even if I lost all of this today, I could redo it all in 3 seconds. It doesn't even matter to me. And the animals have actually stopped eating, and I barely gave them anything this morning, and they left the feed behind, and the pigeons are going to go crazy for this stuff. And I don't really want the pigeons pooping all over in my feed troughs, but this is what happens. My animals are maybe eating about $30 worth of grain a day. Even if I give it to them, they won't eat anymore. And so they're obviously eating grass, because if they were hungry, they would eat more. So they're eating grass, and I would say that my business right now costs about $1,000 a month to run, maybe about $1,100, $1,200, and over the next 3 months, the cost of my business is going to plummet, and my results are actually going to improve. And I'm not going to hold on to any more cash. I've already decided I'm not going to do that. There's no reason for me to do that. I'm not going to do that. It's just so dumb. When I take a look at it in terms of just a fundamental idea, I just cannot bring myself to do it. It's just such an idiotic thing to do. Why would I hold on to $75,000 cash? It's like I already have $25,000, $35,000 cash. Why would I hold on to another 50, 75 grand? Why would I do that? There's no reason for me to do that. All right, so if I have to, I am legitimately just going to go and buy straight number one type, 400-pound commodity cattle at commodity prices, and I will raise them to 800 pounds. I will just skip the stocker calf, situation for a little bit, and I'll go straight into stocker cattle and back grounding for a little bit. I'll raise them into feeder animals, and then I'll take them back to market if I have to. I'm not going to sit on cash, though. I'm not going to do it. There's no reason for me to do it. It's just such an idiotic thing to even think about it. It makes me legitimately want to, I don't know. It legitimately makes me agitated just thinking about it. I already have, if my car blows up, I can already fix it. If there's a problem with my air conditioner, I can already fix it. The 25, 35 grand that I have in terms of cash reserves, it's more than enough money to do anything already. All right, I'm not going to choose to have $100,000 cash over 35. I would rather have my investments. All right, I would rather, I can improve the quality of my cattle. I can, I can bring them home at a higher weight. I can raise them to a higher weight. I can take them to feeder cattle weight. There are things I'm gonna figure it out, but I'm not gonna hold on to any more cash. There's no reason to do that. It's just absolutely moronic. It makes me upset even thinking about it. It gets me agitated even thinking about it. All right, and I'm not gonna do it. It's just so dumb. All right, but that's it for me today, YouTube. You have a good one.